Good morning, class. It's Wednesday, January the 6th, and I hope you're excited about a new day. Let's take this time to thank Jesus for this new day and ask Him to help us learn as much as we can and to have fun with it. Dear Jesus, thank you for a new day. Thank you for a good night's sleep. Thank you that you've given us healthy bodies and good brains to learn. Please help us to have fun as we learn and to do our best. We pray in Jesus' name, amen. Well, as I said, it is Wednesday, January the 6th. So, Wednesday is our day, January is our new month, and what's our new year? 2021. Welcome to the new day, the new year, and the new month. I hope you have gotten to open up your packages and you're enjoying the work and having fun with it. Today we're going to continue on with our studies about the letter N. What sound does it make? Take a moment now. Do you remember? What can we do to help us remember? N, n, nose. N says N. We're also going to ask our friend Dr. Seuss to help us with the sound of the letter N. Big N, little n. What can you say that begins with N? Ned's nice new nightshirt. Ned's nice new nightshirt. Let's try and say it fast. Ned's nice new nightshirt. Can you say it even faster than that? Ned's nice new nightshirt. That can be kind of a tongue twister. But Ned starts with N. N. Nice starts with N. New starts with N. And nightshirt. That's like his pajamas. There's Ned. Alrighty. Let's also ask our kindergarten friends what words they have in their class that start with N. On N Day, we build a tower of nickels. Oh no! What happened to their tower of nickels? It fell over, just like sometimes when you're building those tall towers in our classroom. And we put one more block on and down it goes. Let's see what else they have in their classroom besides nickels that start with N. Necklace, 9, noses, note. Now you might see a note in Mrs. Kenny's music class. And when you come back to school, you're going to see a nice new bulletin board that she put up in the hallway, and it has lots of music notes on it. Numbers and nut. Let's see if we can find all of those things in this kindergarten classroom. Some of them are going to be hiding. Can you find a necklace? Let's look and see. Who's wearing a necklace? Oh, I see it right there. They're trying to trick us because it's pretty small, but she has a necklace on with a red jewel. It's easy to see the nickels. What about noses? Those are pretty easy to see on each one of the children. Can you point to your nose? Note. Okay, so Mrs. Pedler mentioned music notes, but there's other kinds of notes as well. And in this classroom, they're talking about a note on the wall. Do you see that? It's a note reminding the students or the teacher of some things that they need to do. Do your mom and dad ever put up notes to remind them of things they need to do during the day? Or things they need to buy at the shopping mall? Grocery store? Alrighty. Numbers. Numbers. Oh, I don't see numbers on the chalkboard. I see the letter N on the chalkboard, but I do see some numbers. Where do you see numbers in this classroom? If you said on the clock, you're a smart cookie. You're paying attention. There's numbers on the clock. And a nut. Now that might be kind of tricky to see. Do you see a nut anywhere in this classroom? We don't have nuts in our classroom or in our school, do we? But in this classroom, there's a nut hiding somewhere. I'm going to give you a clue. It's on this side of the classroom, somewhere near the plant. Do you see it there? There it is. There's the walnut. So we found all of the N things in their classrooms. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 things that start with N in their classroom. And you can see that they also practice writing N's, uppercase and lowercase, on their chalkboard like we do in ours. And you each have a slate in our classroom. If you don't have one at home, you can even just pretend you're writing an N in the air. One stick straight down, one diagonal, and another stick straight down. And Mrs. Pedler has a beautiful chalkboard in her house. My son made this for me, so I can practice writing N's with you right here. I brought some chalk from our classroom, and I'm going to practice with you. If you don't have a chalkboard, practice in the air or practice on the ground or on the countertop or on the table. Straight down, diagonal, and then straight down again. There's our uppercase N. And beside it, we're going to do a lowercase n. A short stick, a little bridge at the top, and then another short stick down. So the uppercase N and the lowercase n both have 3 parts to them. 1, 2, 3. The lowercase n has a short stick, and the short stick comes up a little bit higher than the hill, bridge in the middle, and another short stick. I'd like you to take time to practice that now. Let's practice it together in the air. Uppercase first, straight stick down, diagonal, another stick. Now the lowercase, short stick, bridge at the top, and another short stick down. Well, yesterday you had a chance to practice that on your printing page. And on Monday, you had a chance to practice it in your printing book. And today, we have practiced it together in the air. And I have something else that we're going to talk about in our language class now. We're going to take a break from the letter N, and we're going to talk about rhyming words. We talk about rhyming words in our classroom a lot. Can you think of a word that rhymes with bed? B-ed. If you can hear at the beginning of that word, we have the b sound, b. And then the word family at the end, or the end of the word, is ed, the ed family. B-ed. Can you find another word that starts with a different letter that has the ed family at the end? A different beginning, but the same ending. B-ed. If you said h-ed, you're correct. Head and bed rhyme. Let's think of another rhyming word. Wall. Wall. What is the word family? Can you hear the ending of that word? Wall. All. So w-all has the sound w at the beginning, and the letter W says w-all. Let's put a different letter at the beginning of that word. I'm going to do something and see if you can guess what letter I'm talking about. Hello? Hi there. That's right. The word is call. Call. So if I put a C in front of all, I would have the word call. And call and wall rhyme. Can you think of a word that rhymes with bear? So it needs to have air at the end. I'll give you a hint. There's some on your head. Can you think of it? Hair, you got it. Bear, hair. Well, I included a page that looks like this in your package, and it's a train that has a whole bunch of words on it. I'd like you to start at the beginning of the train and see if you can make it all the way to the end and make a whole bunch of rhyming words. So on the train, they've given you 2 rhyming words, and then they have a blank space for you to make a 3rd rhyming word. In each train car, there's a space for you to put 1 letter to make a rhyming word. So the first train car says hen, pen, and then it's got a blank spot for you to put a letter to make a word that rhymes with hen and pen. So listen for the word family in hen and pen. H-N, P-N, H-N, P-N. If you said the word family is N, you're right. Can you hear that N at the ending of both those words? H-N, P-N. They have a different beginning sound. Is the sound of the letter H. And P is the sound of the letter P. So they have different beginning letters, but they have the same sound at the end. N. So then you have to fill in the blank with another letter to make a 3rd rhyming word. And you're going to do that for each word family in each train car. The second car is the id family. Then the ig family, the ot family, and you can ask your mom or dad or whoever's working with you to help you by saying those words, and you listen and see if you can come up with some more rhyming words, 1 for each train car. Don't forget to put your name and your neatest printing at top. And when you're done that, we're going to move on to math. Who remembers what we're talking about in math? If you said shapes, you've been listening. I have some shapes here with me. What's this shape? A rectangle, that's right. And I've cut all these shapes out of sponges. And on a page that Mrs. Pedler put in your package of fun ideas about shapes, there's one that says sponge prints. If you have any sponges at home, you can do this activity. If not, that's okay. I'm going to do it with you here. So I cut a sponge into the shape of a rectangle. I cut another sponge into the shape of a what? Triangle. It has 3 sides, 1, 2, 3, and 3 points, 1, 2, 3. And what's this one? A square. Now, how are the square and the rectangle different? We talked about it. What's different about the sides? Yes, in the rectangle it has 2 long sides and 2 short sides. But in the square, all the sides are the same length. Square, rectangle. And I also have a circle. A circle doesn't really have any sides. It just goes around and around forever. Well, I also brought some paint from our classroom so that I could make some sponge prints for you. So I'm going to take this paper. We'll see if it works. I don't know whether it will or not. I'm going to start with the circle. I'm going to get lots of paint on it to get it all over the whole shape. Do you think this will make a circle on my page? We'll see. I'm going to press it really hard. And voila! It's kind of a funny shaped circle, but there it is. There's my sponge circle. Now let's see if I can do it with the rectangle. And what color, by the way, is that sponge circle? If you said green, You know your colors. I'm going to take the rectangle now, and I'm going to use a different color. Lots of paint on it. I don't know if I have enough paint for this one. We'll see. Here we go. I'm going to press down really hard. Will it work? Well, yeah, kind of. There we go. There's my rectangle. Let's count the sides. 1, 2 long sides, 1, 2 short sides. So there's a rectangle. What color is it? Yes, yellow rectangle, green square. Let's try another shape. Yellow rectangle, green circle. Now let's try the square. I'm going to pick a different color. I think I have enough paint. And here we go. And it worked. What's this shape? Green circle, yellow rectangle, and a purple square. Purple square. We have one more shape to try. Our triangle, and I'm going to pick a different color. Voila! And there it is. It's kind of wobbly, but what shape is it? It's supposed to be a triangle. Let's count the sides. 1, 2, 3. And what color is it? Orange. I moved it around a little when I was pressing, so it almost looks like a bell. Almost looks like it has a little bell underneath it. Okay, let's say our shapes and colors together. Orange triangle, yellow rectangle, green circle, and purple square. There we go. So if you have some old sponges that Mom would let you cut, and you have some paint at home, you can do this activity at home too. If not, that's okay. Maybe we'll do it when we come back together in our classroom. There is a sheet that I'd like you to do in your package about shapes today. What's this? Does it look like a house? So what shapes can we find in a house? The body of the house is a square, a big square. Or some people's houses are in the shape of a big rectangle. What's the shape of the roof? You got it, it's a triangle. Now we have some shapes down below. A triangle, a square, a rectangle, and a circle, just like we had with our sponge shapes. The instructions on this page say trace the house, so use your pencil to trace the roof triangle and the house square, and then add in windows and doors. So you can cut out these shapes below to add windows and doors to your house. Maybe you could use the rectangle for a chimney. Maybe you could have a circle window. That would be kind of a funny window. The rectangle could be a door. You're going to need squares for windows, so you might even just draw your own shapes because there aren't enough here if you cut them out. But it shows you which shapes you're going to need to draw into your house. Square windows, rectangle chimney, rectangle door. You get creative and add windows and doors to your house, because without a door we can't get in, and without windows we can't see out. Have fun with that. You can color it if you like and do your neatest work. And when you're done, make sure you point and say each one, the names of each one of the shapes. All right. Well, I also included your Bible time for today, that you can spend time enjoying that time with your parents or whoever's reading the Bible story with you. And the name of that story is Gentleness is Contagious. We're talking about gentleness, and by now you should know a little bit about what that means. Gentle words, gentle actions are kind and calm words and actions that can encourage someone, that can help them to feel better. Jesus can teach us how to be gentle. And did you know gentleness is contagious? Usually we think of something that's contagious as germs or something that's not very nice. And grumpiness can be contagious too. If you're in a grumpy mood or an angry mood and you're speaking to someone else in an angry way, or you're shoving them out of the way and acting impatient, then they could start to feel that way, angry and grumpy. But gentleness is also contagious. Sometimes if someone's feeling grumpy or angry and you speak to them in a gentle way, it can help them to calm down. So let's remember that we can help someone else to feel calmer and happier inside by letting our gentleness be contagious in the way that we treat them, the way we speak to them, and the way we act when we're around them. So you're going to read that story with your parents today, called Gentleness is Contagious. And let's take a moment now to practice our verse together that reminds us how important gentle words are. A gentle word turns away wrath, but an angry answer stirs up anger. Proverbs 15:1. A gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. Keep practicing that every day. By the end of the week, I know that you'll be able to say it all by yourself. Okay. Well, I know that it takes you time to do those worksheets, and we don't have all that time while I'm speaking to you on this video, but you can watch the video and then take time to do the worksheets, have fun with them, and then I think you'll need a break. And we haven't been able to sit at our circle time together, so I thought we would take some time now to relax, have a nice quiet time together as we have story time. We're talking a little bit about trains this week. We've had some train worksheets, and I've got a wonderful story for you. It's a fun little story about a train car, like the train car that's on your worksheet. There's a bunch of train cars there. Well, this is one train car, and he had quite the adventure. This book is called The Caboose Who Got Loose. There's a picture of all the train cars traveling through the mountains. What happened here? Now they're not all connected. This one's by itself. It's up in the air like it's an airplane instead of a train car. I wonder what happened. How did that train car get up in the air? Well, there's the train chugging along with big black smoke coming out. When Katie Caboose rambled down the train tracks, the engines were steamers with puffing smokestacks, and you can see that black smoke. She was a caboose who didn't like being last. Do you sometimes not like being last at the end of the line? Well, Katie Caboose did not like being the last train car, and the caboose That's where the caboose is. It's at the end of the line, and that's an important spot to be. But she didn't like being last. With an endless black cloud of smoke rolling past, it's not only too smoky, the caboose would complain. There's the jerks and the jolts of this noisy freight train. She didn't like the smoke, and she didn't like the noise. The engine up front always wore a big smile. So the caboose is at the end, and the engine's at the beginning, and the engine liked being the first car. As he lumbered along for mile after mile, he was proud of being so powerful and strong, that he could haul a freight train 100 cars long. So on he went, chugging, no worry or care, leaving Katie Caboose in dark clouds of despair. He wasn't thinking about the train cars behind him. He was only thinking about himself. Katie had little hope she would ever get loose, or ever be anything but a caboose. I can wish, sighed poor Katie. What else can I do? If you wish hard enough, then your wish might come true. Often Katie would wish that someday, that someday could be today. Something quiet and simple, like a lovely elm tree, or a ramshackle barn all alone on a hill, where the noisiest thing was a squeaky windmill. So there she is as she's going by the little barn and the windmill, and she's wishing that she could be there all by herself on the quiet hill. It might be lonely, she thought, way out there, but at least there's a view with lots of fresh air. Whenever she passed through a small country town, Katie wished she could stop and just settle down and be one of the houses who sat in a row on a tree-shaded street and have no place to go. It's so restful, thought Katie, where one can relax, as she hurried and scurried on down the tracks. So there she is. She never stops, and she's looking at those houses, wishing she could sit still for a while. What she wished most to be, much more than the rest, was a cabin she'd seen on her trips through the West. A little log shack half covered with vines. There's the log shack. Perched on a slope in a forest of pines. How perfect, thought Katie as she hurried on by, to live there in the trees where it's peaceful and quiet. But all the caboose could look forward to was a deep rocky canyon the train traveled through. And there's the canyon. Katie wasn't very happy with her job, was she? She was wishing she could be somewhere else and be something else. Where huge boulders leaned way over the tracks in towering, top-heavy, gigantic stacks, what is holding them up? Frightened Katie would wonder, as the earth-shaking train went rumbling right under. If one should come loose and fall down upon her, it would squash Katie flat, and then she'd be a goner. If she didn't get squashed, there was more to be dreaded, up the winding steep grades where the engine was headed. Oh, so now she's not only wishing she could be somewhere where it was quiet with fresh air, now she's afraid that she might get squashed by a boulder. High up in the mountains were terrible ledges, where the track ran along only feet from the edges. The view was breathtaking, but after one look, it was so upsetting she shivered and shook. If she slipped off the track, then down she would go, to be smashed into bits on the rocks far below. That sounds kind of scary. Then poor Katie received even more of a fright from a smoke-blackened tunnel as dark as the night. And she crept through the tunnel with a horrible thought, that far back in the darkness she'd suddenly be caught by a caboose-eating monster who lurked all about, that would gobble her up before she got out. She was letting her imagination get carried away, wasn't she? Sometimes our thoughts can scare us. Her trips always ended near a city somewhere, way out in a freight yard with smoking, clouding air, where a turmoil of trains made a great noisy rumble on crisscrossing tracks, an impossible jumble. So there's all the trains at the train yard crossing over the tracks, and all the smoke. The train came to a stop and the cars were unhitched. Then off to a side track the caboose was soon switched. where Katy could sit and take in the fine scenery, with such lovely sights as a load of machinery. Coal cars and flat cars, lumber stacked on their backs, squealing carloads of pigs with snouts poking through the cracks. Do you think Katy enjoys that scenery? They always left Katy in the middle of it all, while the engine received a complete overhaul. So the engine at the front of the train got to lots of care. She got taken care of, got new oil in her wheels. But Katy the caboose didn't get any special care. She just had to sit there and wait in that noisy freight yard. The huge engine at last had run down from the strain, from the 10,000 miles he had hauled the long train. Back in the roundhouse, men swarmed all about to check over and under him, inside and out. The engine's getting lots of care. Replacing old pistons and bolts that were missing, patching leaks in the boiler that made a loud hissing, cleaning rust from his piping that ran everywhere, checking steam valves and pumps in great need of repair. As Katy sat there through one long, dreary night, staring up through the smoke at a red signal light, a small house appeared in the sky like a ghost. A shack of the switchman perched high on a post. There's the switchman's post and little spot that he stayed and looked out. And now Katy was wishing she could be the switchman up high in the post, just watching, away from all the smoke and the noise. If I could trade places, I would be very glad. I'd like to be like you, the shack said very sadly. A caboose is what I've always wanted to be, for you have the best life from what I can see. So now the shack is wanting to be like the caboose, so she can see lots of sights, but the caboose, Katy, is wanting to be like the shack so she can stay still. They're wanting to switch places with each other instead of being happy for who they are. Before Katy could think of some way to reply, all at once a long freight train came thundering by. The next thing she knew, she was jerked and then jolted, then hitched to the train with her coupler bolted. As the train left the freight yard, poor Katy looked back to catch a last glimpse of the sad little shack. There she is off again. From now on, Katy promised, I shall never complain. I'll be a happy little caboose at the end of the train, and put up with the jolts, the train noise, and the rest. All the smoke that rolls by, or at least I'll try my best. So Katy's going to try and be happy with who she is and thankful for her job. With her new point of view, she enjoyed the long ride. It was a fun trip through the broad countryside. Sometimes when we change our thoughts, we start to feel happier and enjoy what we have. Now Katy could see the bright colors in the beautiful countryside. But when the train crept up a steep mountain grade, then poor Katy found she was still afraid, and once more she began to shiver and shake at the thought of the frightening curves she must take. Her unsteady wheels could cause her to slip, which would suddenly put a quick end to the trip. That's a pretty high mountain she's climbing up. It was a hot afternoon, so the going was rough, and the engine up front was in a puffing big huff. He groaned, "What a day to chug up such a grade on a bare mountainside without one bit of shade." When he came steaming over the very last hump, he lunged with a fury that made the cars jump, all the way back to Katy, who got such a jolt that it snapped off a rusty old coupling bolt. Yikes. So Katy hadn't gotten any care when she was back at the freight yard, and one of her coupling bolts was rusty, and it was weak. And because the engine pulled so hard, the bolt came loose. What's going to happen to Katy? She was free of the train. At last she was loose. And away down the track went Katy the caboose. There she is, traveling the opposite way of the rest of the train, really quickly down the hill. On down the grade she flew, faster and faster, straight for a curve and certain disaster. When Katy hit the curve, she took off like a kite, high over the tops on her first and last flight that would quickly have ended poor Katie Caboose if it hadn't been for two towering spruce. So there's the picture we saw at the beginning where she's flying in the air. But we know train cars are heavy and they can't stay up in the air for very long. So that means she's going to quickly come down. But where did she land? The caboose became caught in a very tight squeeze between the tall trunks of two evergreen trees. The evergreen trees saved her. What do you think she looks like? Does she look a little bit like that tall shack? The switchman's shack, high up in the air? At first, she could hardly believe her good luck. What a wonderful place it was to be stuck. She thought sure she was dreaming. It couldn't be true. Here she was in the trees with a beautiful view. It's so perfect, sighed Katie. Yet I'm really not free. I know sooner or later they'll come after me. And then, sure enough, up the mountains that night came a train with a crane and a powerful light. She could have gone leaping off here, came a shout, like a great glaring eye. Then the light searched about. So there's the crane and the great big floodlight, but see, the great big floodlight is just right below where Katie is in the trees. Do you think they'll find her? It flashed past the trees down the steep rocky bluff, and it searched high and low, but not quite high enough. Or it would have soon spotted the missing caboose, but all they could find was a startled bull moose. The light shone right on the bull. Doesn't he look scared? Let's all call it quits, growled the boss of the crew. For all that I care, she's in Kalamazoo. They were tired of searching, and they didn't want to search anymore. Katie stayed in the treetops, and no one ever found her, except for the squirrels and the birds all around her. At last she was free, just as free as the breeze. And how Katie did love it up there in the trees. And oh, indeed, Katie did. Does Katie look happy? Does she look lonely? Oh, she's got lots of friends. An owl, can you see an owl? A blue jay, a squirrel, cardinals. They're all her new friends, and she's very happy because she's away from the smoke and the noise, and she gets some peace and some quiet at last. And that's the story of the caboose who got loose. Now I have one more quick story for you today, and it kind of goes with our math lesson. What shape do you see on the front of this book? If you said circle, you're correct. It's a lollipop, and the top of a lollipop is a circle. And the name of this book is What is Round? Tangerines, garbanzo beans. There's some round tangerines and some round beans. A bubble, a bead, a bagel, a ball. It's a round bubble, a bead, a ball, and a bagel. They're all circles. There's lots of shapes all around us. See if you see some circles in your house. The lid from a jelly jar, a melon, a marble, a nickel, the moon. Can you look outside tonight and see if you see the moon in the sky? Do your parents have a nickel in their change purse? A button, a bell, blueberries. Yummy blueberries. They're a very healthy snack. Balloons. What colors are the balloons? We have a red balloon, a blue balloon, a yellow balloon. And what is this right here? It's a saucer, a tiny little plate. A cookie, a clock. A globe. We have a globe in our classroom, don't we? And what's a globe? A map of the world? A grape. Sometimes a rock. A pancake, a pea. A penny. And we don't have pennies around very much anymore, but it used to be a coin that was 1 cent. A pie. There's the pie. What else is round? So we have a whole bunch of things here. They're not all round. There's a magnifying glass. The glass is round. A yo-yo. There's a square clock. So we have, oh, a round tomato. There's some rubber bands all scrunched up into a ball. Don't forget to have your eyes opened outside and inside for all the shapes in the world around us. Well, that's it for today. I hope you have a wonderful day. Enjoy inside, enjoy outside, enjoy the world that God's made. And we'll talk again tomorrow. Bye for now.